In today's Grand Theft Auto Online video, I am gonna go over the best vehicles that you can own under $500,000. I know there's been a lot of new players, and even especially if you got your account recently banned, you're starting fresh, starting from scratch. There's like 500 total vehicles in this game. A lot of them are super expensive, but there are some gems that you can get on a budget, and that's what we're going to be taking a look at in this video. What's up, everyone? Welcome back. My name is Saintsfan, and we are in a freaking back alley in GTA Online. Don't really know why I spawned here, but I did. Doesn't matter, because we are going to go to the good old internet, and we're just going to sort of run through the various vehicle websites, and I'm going to explain which vehicles I think are the best under 500K. Now, what's unfortunate is there aren't many new vehicles under 500K because Rockstar just continually let the vehicle prices get higher and higher. But again, there are some true gems. Now, we're going to go ahead and start on the legendary Motorsport website because this is a website that's got some nice vehicles, but usually they are expensive. And if you're like me, you probably have never even sorted by price before, but we're going to go ahead and sort by price. Now, I have a bunch of these free vehicles because I have the, whatever the package where you get all this free stuff. I believe the LG is always free for most people, at least. It's a pretty solid car for being free. But we're not going to really talk too much about these free vehicles just because I think a lot of people might not end up having these as free. So, starting us scrolling through, I think the first vehicle that I would say is one of the best, at least on this website, is actually down quite a ways. We're going to go all the way right here, the Carbonazari. Love the name. Don't actually know if that's how you say it, but that's how I say it. This is one of the best OG vehicles, I think, in the game. It's a pretty fast sports car. It's not going to do any, crazy record beating of any of the top tier ones, but it's still pretty damn fast for what you got. It is only $195,000, so it's not too expensive. It looks great. I think it's one of the best looking OG vehicles in the game, and it has a hard convertible top, so you can actually bump this top down and make it convertible. And I think there's actually a sort of a bug in the game that Rockstar just never patched, that even though it's got this pretty big open glass window on the back, NPCs for whatever reason cannot actually shoot you, or it's very hard for them to shoot you. So this is a very great vehicle for missions if you don't want to end up buying the armored Kuruma. So that is, I would say, the first vehicle that's a pretty solid one under 500K. Now, the next vehicle that I would say is pretty solid is right here, the Massacro. I mean, it's one of just the OG sports vehicles. It for a long period of time was actually the best sports vehicle, not so much nowadays, but considering the fact that it is only $275,000, it is, I think, still like top 7. So it's definitely still very fast in regards to top speed and handling and all that. It doesn't have the greatest customization. There actually is a separate livery version of this vehicle, but I think that one does cost a little bit more. Just the standard one, though, it looks great. And if you're going again for another sports car, the Massacro, a solid choice. The only other vehicle on the legendary Motorsport website is actually one we kind of passed over, but it's this one right here, the Benefactor Shafter V12. We're not going to want this price and the regular version. You're actually going to want to click on the armored version. And this is, at one point, it was one of the fastest vehicles top speed wise in the game. Like if you're on a straightaway, I don't think that's the case anymore, but it's definitely, I think, still like top 10, if not top 15 as far as top speed. And that's comparing it to supercars and other cars like that. So very fast when you get this vehicle, and it is only $325,000 right here. But the benefit of getting the armored version is that not only is it very fast, it's a 4-door vehicle. You can see it's got 2 doors there, so it fits 4 people, which is great. it's got armored windows to an extent. So if you are, driving around and someone starts shooting at you, you have an opportunity to get away before they can kill you. And because it's actually armored, it can withstand, I believe, 1 missile, 1 RPG. It's not a lot, especially in today's day, where freaking people got Oppressor Mark IIs and they can just spam them, but it is somewhat decent. And for $325,000, it's a great deal. So as far as Legendary Motorsport, we got 2 sports cars, and then I think the Shafter V12 is technically a sedan, but it is also a pretty solid vehicle for that website. Now, before we get to the Southern San Andreas Super Autos website, because there's a lot of cheap vehicles on that, we're going to go to some of these other websites, and I just want to mention a few things. On the aircraft website, all of these aircraft are very expensive. There are 2 that are pretty solid, though. You have the Mallard at $250K. This obviously is something you can definitely just find spawned, so you might not want to buy it, but the Mallard is a fantastic and a very fun plane to fly around in. The Ultralight is one of the other vehicles I think is very solid. Now, to get it under the 500K sort of limit, you have to get the trade price, which you just need to complete 3 air freight steel missions. That does kind of require you to have the hangar, but I would say, is a pretty solid plane for only one reason. It has a particular attachment that basically makes you go off radar. And being off radar is just a godsend in GT Online. It's not the fastest thing, obviously. I mean, you can tell just by looking at it. It's a freaking, basically a glorified kite. But it is pretty solid to go off radar and evade people that way. So I just wanted to mention that. And if you're really budgeting, you shouldn't be looking at any of these vehicles or any of these boats, but you do have some pretty solid boats to choose from. Honestly, the dinghy or the speeder are the best, and clearly those 2 are under 500K. Now, as far as the Warstock website, there's not a whole bunch on here either, because again, a bunch of these are very expensive. I will say, though, there's a few. You have the Wastelander here. If you're just going for a fun vehicle, the trade price is under 500K. It can go into like water freaking like up to its freaking head, basically, and come out of it. And you can fit a few people on the back. It's a fun vehicle. This is something, if you got some extra money laying around and you're looking for a cheap vehicle to have some fun with, I would say that's a pretty solid one. But there are 2 sort of right after it. You have the Insurgent and the Duke of Death. Now, the Duke of Death may actually be free for some people, so if it's free, definitely pick it up. It is armored. Believe it can withstand like 1 or 2 missiles. But at the normal price, it is 600K. It's a little over the 500 price tag, but it's a great vehicle for missions, and that's kind of just one of the reasons I wanted to point it out. But for the 600K price tag, I might hold off until, it was underneath that 500K if it comes on a sale or if it's free for you. The only other vehicle on this particular website, if we go back to the price, is the Insurgent. And this one is another one that's a little over the 500K limit. Only reason I'm mentioning this vehicle is because of all those missile shooting vehicles in the game. This vehicle is a tank, and it can withstand a bunch of those missiles, and it's pretty fast. So if you are looking to stretch your budget and to be fully armored, I think this is probably one of the cheapest ways to do that. And now, looking at the Southern San Andreas Super Autos website, look, there are millions of freaking vehicles on this website that are very cheap. A lot of these are the OG vehicles, and a lot of them honestly aren't that good. But there are some gems that if you're looking to buy some stuff on a budget, then, there's some good stuff here. Number 1, right off the bat, we have the Batty 801. It is only $15,000, and this is probably one of the top 3 bikes in the game. It can wheelie, so that means you can go off-road. You can even scale buildings to an extent. It's got some great speed, and if you have a motorcycle club or a clubhouse, then you can use this to call it instantly at any point in time. There's no delay. 15K, this is probably the steal of GTA Online. Now, we mentioned fun vehicles with the Wastelander, another one of my most fun vehicles, especially for the price, the Futo. They actually sort of upgraded the Futo about a year or so ago, so it's got some pretty decent customization now, and it's obviously, just by its looks, it's not going to be a fast car, but it is one of the best drifting cars. And I mean, you can literally find this off the street if you don't want to pay the 9K, but that's a bounty basically. So 9K for some great customization and some great fun times drifting around the map. The Futo is where it's at. Now, as we sort of scrolled down here quite a ways, we have two vehicles I want to mention on this particular page. We have the Camacho, which we'll come back to. But one of the new vehicles that just came out, the Empante Beater Dukes. It's only $378,000, and it's a brand new vehicle, even though it definitely doesn't look like that. It is very unique, though, in that it comes stock beat up. So if you are going for that sort of look, I mean, you can't beat this. And it's got some pretty solid customization, and it is basically the Dukes. So it is pretty solid as far as like handling and speed is concerned. I mean, it is a muscle car at the end of the day, though, so do know that. But it is a great customizable car that is really cheap. And considering it's new, I'm surprised it is that inexpensive. That other vehicle I was mentioning, though, the Camacho, honestly, on this list of vehicles under 500K, I would say this is probably my number 1, 2, or 3. It's definitely top 3. For $345,000, you get pretty much the best off-road vehicle in the game. And this thing, you wouldn't think, but it's got tons of customization. You can do so much with this vehicle. It is insane. It's not a Benny's vehicle either. It's just a regular old LSC vehicle, but it's got tons of customization. And it is fast for what it is, man. This thing can go straight up Mount Chiliad. This thing can go up like almost vertical cliff faces. It's crazy. And the price is insane. $345K. That is an absolute steal for what you get with this truck. So if you are looking for one of the best customizable trucks in the game, this is it. And if you're looking for the best off-road vehicle in the game, this is it. And if you're looking for just a solid vehicle to drive around in, it's a 4-door. I think maybe even 2 more can fit in the back. Let's see, does it say how many people fit in here? I don't exactly know. It does only fit 4, so I guess you can't fit people in the back. I haven't used it in a while with many people, but still, this vehicle is hands down one of the best vehicles under 500K to own. And then one of the other vehicles that is just maybe slightly over 500K, but it's just hands down one of the most useful vehicles when it comes to starting out, the Armored Kuruma. It's 525K, but I mean, what you get with this vehicle is just top tier. When it comes to doing missions, when it comes to pretty much doing anything against NPCs, this vehicle is probably the best, because the NPCs just can't shoot you. You can see you have these like armored slots. You can't throw grenades out of it. That's the only sort of downside. But you can shoot the AP pistol, your revolver, you know, anything you can shoot out of the windows. So you can basically just go up to the NPCs, shoot them, and they pretty much cannot shoot you. So you're basically invincible when you're inside of this vehicle against NPCs. Now, even though it is armored, you can still blow up in one rocket, and you know, maybe that's why it's only 500K basically. But if you're starting out, this is hands down one of the most useful vehicles to own, and slightly over 500K, we're gonna count it. And it also holds 4 people, so if you had a crew, this is another solid choice. And because that was sort of on the cusp after this, I mean, all these other vehicles wouldn't really fit this video, so we're not going to look at them. The only other vehicle, there's a couple of vehicles I want to mention. You have the Yosemite here. This is a vehicle that's got some great customization, and you can actually upgrade it at Benny's now. But even though it's $485,000 to upgrade it at Benny's, I think it's another like 400K, so definitely not cheap. but it is pretty great as far as customization goes. I am curious if you guys have any thoughts on any of these other vehicles for like best budget vehicles. Let us know in the comment section. The Chubarek is another great one. It's like the Futo. It's Futo-esque. It has 4 doors. It's got some good customization. It does just cost, you know, another extra 150K. So depends on if you want to spend that or not. I think the Hakachu is another great bike, but comparing it to the Bati, it's just not as good and it's way more expensive. So, you know, you have that. The Manchez is a solid off-road bike if you're looking for one, only at 50K to 67K. It can pop a wheelie pretty much indefinitely, which is pretty nice. But again, the Bati can pop a wheelie and it's 15K. So as far as bikes go, the Bati's just like hands down the winner. The only other vehicle is not actually on this website. I did sort of skip over it. We're going to go back to the Legendary Motorsport website and we're going to sort by price and we're going to go all the way down here. It's literally at the cusp because the only vehicle the only class of vehicle I haven't really touched on in this video is a supercar. The only supercar I would say that is worth it at the 500K or under price tag is actually the Turismo R, which I think actually comes free with the pack I have. But I believe standard or like regularly, if you don't have this pack, it is 500K on the dot. And way back when this vehicle came out, it was one of the top supercars. So it is definitely fast. It's not going to compete with any of the newer supercars. But if you're looking for a very fast car, maybe even the fastest car under 500K, this is probably the vehicle you're going to want to get. So that is my list of that's my list of vehicles under 500K that I think are the best. You have tons of options to choose from. A lot of them aren't that good, but like I said, there are some gems, and I'm curious to hear if you guys have any other gems that you like under 500K. Let us know in the comment section. That's going to do it for this video, though. Thank you all for watching. Please drop a like if you did enjoy it. Hopefully this video helps some of you guys out if you're a newer player on a budget. Thank you guys for watching, though, and as always, I'll see you guys in the next one.